I need you to listen with complete attention because what I'm about to tell you may overturn everything you've believed about struggle, failure, and the condition of your mind. There are two kinds of people walking this earth. Those who move through life exhausted, defeated, complaining, barely surviving from one day to the next. And then there are those who rise in the middle of hardship, who smile while others collapse, who continue forward when everyone else gives up and ultimately prevail. The difference is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not education. It is what I call a powerful positive mental attitude. And understand this clearly. This is not empty optimism. This is not pretending everything is fine. This is not forcing a smile while your spirit is falling apart. No, a positive mental attitude is a force of the soul. It is the ability to look through confusion, pain, and adversity and still move with faith, clarity, and ability to look through confusion, pain, and adversity and still move with faith, clarity, and intention. It is the only true antidote to defeat, and it is the foundation beneath every form of lasting achievement. I spent more than 2 decades studying and interviewing some of the most influential men of history: Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller. Men who created empires not because life favored them, but because they cultivated an unshakable mindset. They did not run from failure. They welcomed it. They did not surrender when obstacles appeared. They examined them. They did not crumble under pressure. They learned how to transform defeat into victory, and you can do the same. But first, let me ask you something. What is ruling your mind right now? Is it fear, doubt, resentment, self-pity, or is it faith, gratitude, vision, desire? Because the mind never stays empty. It is always being influenced by something. If you do not guide it, the world will guide it for you. If you do not master it, darkness will. That truth became clear to me when I finally faced the greatest opponent I had ever known, myself. Hear me carefully. Your mental attitude is the one thing over which you possess absolute control. You can direct it if you choose to. That truth will either liberate you or threaten every excuse you cling to, because what you believe, you become. What you consistently think about, you attract. What you dwell upon long enough eventually becomes your reality. You may say, I've tried to stay positive, but life keeps knocking me down. Then I ask you this, what is? Because no one develops a powerful mental attitude without a goal so intense, so consuming, so extraordinary that even failure trembles before it. Show me a person without purpose, and I will show you someone drifting through life. And the drifter, my friend, is always vulnerable to destruction, but show me someone who knows exactly what they want. Someone who wakes each morning with fire in their spirit and vision in their mind, and I will show you someone who cannot be destroyed. To build an unbreakable, positive mental attitude, you must first decide precisely what you want. Believe without hesitation that you will achieve it. Act every single day in alignment with that belief. No excuses, no waiting for motivation, no dependence on circumstances. Let me tell you something few people will admit. The world owes you no encouragement. The universe does not stop to comfort weakness, but it always rewards certainty backed by faith. Circumstances. Let me tell you something few people will admit. The world owes you no encouragement. The universe does not stop to comfort weakness, but it always rewards certainty backed by faith. When a person decides they will not quit, that they will not surrender to negativity, that their mind belongs to them and not to fear, something extraordinary begins to happen. Resources appear, opportunities reveal themselves, strength they never knew existed. Opportunities reveal themselves, strength they never knew existed. It begins rising inside them, and failure itself begins to retreat. But this transformation begins only when you understand another truth. Negative thoughts are not harmless visitors. They are invaders. If you tolerate them, they will occupy your mind. If you entertain them, they will consume your purpose from within. And if you allow them to remain, they will persuade you to abandon the very mission you were born to fulfill. So you must practice what I call mental cleansing. Examine your thoughts carefully. Mental cleansing. Examine your thoughts carefully. Observe your inner dialogue, and the moment your mind drifts toward fear, worry, resentment, or doubt, stop it as firmly as you would stop a thief entering your home. Replace it with gratitude, faith, and the voice of strength that says, I was not created to live broken. I was not designed for weakness. I carry the same force that shaped mountains, formed stars, and breathed life into champions. Now let me confront the greatest lie keeping people powerless. I'm just not a positive person. Nonsense. You were not born negative or positive. You were conditioned. Your surroundings trained you. Your experiences molded you. But nothing is permanent unless you decide it is. What has been learned can be unlearned. What has been programmed can be rewritten. The secret is repetition. You become what you repeatedly practice. You believe what you repeatedly tell yourself. And your attitude eventually mirrors the dominant thoughts you feed over time. So if you truly want an unbreakable mental attitude, begin here. Guard what enters your mind. Feed yourself daily with courage. Truth, and faith. Speak strength even when you feel pain. Read words of greatness until they ignite something inside you. There is no shortcut. There is no trick. But there is a path. And it starts with one decision. No matter what life throws against you, your attitude belongs to you, not to your critics, not to your enemies, not to your past, yours. And that, my friend, is where true power begins. If you wish to develop an unbreakable positive mental attitude, then you must understand the power of autosuggestion. What is autosuggestion? It is the process through which your subconscious mind becomes fertile ground for either weeds or abundance. Whatever you repeatedly say to yourself, whether false or true, your mind absorbs and eventually accepts as reality. Every success begins with a conversation, not with another person, but within yourself. Your inner dialogue either builds greatness or silently destroys dreams. The individual who rises each morning saying, I will succeed, I will endure, I will not be denied, begins shaping reality through the force of belief. But the person who wakes saying, nothing works for me, I'm exhausted, I can't continue, loses the battle before even leaving bed. Whatever the mind can imagine and truly believe, it can achieve. But belief must be strengthened daily through repetition. One moment of hope is not enough. You must train the mind like a muscle with discipline and intention every single day. Spend 5 minutes each morning speaking life into your purpose. Not timidly, not half-heartedly. Speak with conviction, strength, and certainty. Say, I am stronger than fear. My purpose burns brighter than my doubt. I attract what I need because I expect greatness. At first, you may not feel it. That is normal. The subconscious mind does not change through emotion alone. It changes through emotional repetition. Speak it repeatedly until the voice of victory becomes louder than the voice of fear. Now let us go deeper. An unbreakable attitude cannot exist without self-discipline. You cannot control your emotions if you cannot control your habits. You cannot maintain a powerful vibration while trapped inside destructive routines. Discipline is the bridge connecting thought to reality. Without it, intentions remain fantasies. Discipline is the bridge connecting thought to reality. Without it, intentions remain fantasies, and destiny remains distant. The great men I studied, Carnegie, Hill, Edison, Schwab, did not rise through talent alone. They rose because they mastered themselves. They understood that the person unable to control their thoughts, time, and desires becomes a servant in a world built for leaders. So ask yourself, what are you tolerating that weakens your spirit? What distractions steal your future? What comforts are keeping you small? An unbreakable mental attitude is never born from comfort. It is forged through discipline under pressure. It is created the moment you say, I will study instead of waste time. I will rise instead of remain asleep. I will speak strength instead of complaint. Because every time you choose discipline over impulse, your inner power expands, and every time you surrender to comfort, a piece of your potential fades away. Now let us speak about perhaps the most important discovery I ever made after studying success and failure for years. Every adversity carries within it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. If you truly understand that, you become impossible to defeat. You may suffer, you may fall, You may bleed, but you will never truly break because you understand this is not the end. It is preparation before elevation. Look back at your own life. Your greatest lessons did not come through comfort. They arrived through hardship. Your clearest moments did not come when life was easy. They came when everything collapsed and you had to decide whether to surrender or rise. So, train yourself to expect both difficulty and opportunity. Teach your mind to say, "This pain is preparing me. This setback is redirecting me. This delay is protecting me." And what happens then? You become immovable. You become dangerous to defeat because life cannot destroy someone who grows stronger every time they are struck. Now, let me reveal another principle from my life's work. You are never stronger every time they are struck. Now, let me reveal another principle from my life's work. You are never truly a victim of circumstance. You become a victim only through your response. Two people can face the same tragedy. One becomes bitter while the other becomes wiser. The difference is mental attitude. When life hits you hard, you decide whether you will curse the experience or use it as a teacher. When betrayal comes, you decide whether you will become consumed by resentment or strengthened by wisdom. You may not control events, but you always control what those events become in your life. That is the true secret of a positive mental attitude. It does not eliminate hardship. It transforms its meaning. It does not stop the storm. It teaches you how to walk through it with purpose. And hear this warning carefully. There will always be people who resent your mindset. They will mock your optimism. They will call you unrealistic, delusional, foolish, and your mindset. They will mock your optimism. They will call you unrealistic, delusional, foolish. Ignore them. Most people are addicted to mediocrity. They have practiced hopelessness for so long that anyone determined to rise threatens them. You must remove negative influence at its source. Surround yourself with those who strengthen your spirit. Avoid those who constantly feed fear and limitation. Tell me who surrounds you, and I will tell you the future you are moving toward. Environment is stronger than willpower alone. If you remain surrounded by darkness, do not expect your mind to produce light. You must protect what influences your thinking, because what enters your ears eventually enters your spirit. Finally, remember this truth. You do not need permission to develop this power. You do not need status, approval, or credentials. You need only one thing, a decision. A decision to govern your thoughts, a decision to lead your own mind instead of being controlled by it, a decision to become someone who cannot be broken because their attitude refuses surrender. Become someone who cannot be broken because their attitude refuses surrender. If you make that decision today, if you declare, "From this moment forward, I no longer surrender my attitude to circumstances. I own it, I direct it, I defend it," then you are already moving toward greatness. Because the world bends before those whose spirit remains strong, even when the body grows tired. Stand firm, my friend. Now let us finish this. You have stayed with me this far. That tells me something important about you. It tells me you are no longer satisfied with merely surviving. You want mastery over life, and mastery always begins within the mind. The final element in building an unbreakable, positive mental attitude is this. You must possess a chief, definite purpose. Without purpose, the mind drifts endlessly. Without a burning objective, the mind becomes vulnerable to fear, distraction, weakness, and doubt. You must anchor your life to something greater than comfort. You must rise in weakness and doubt. You must anchor your life to something greater than comfort. You must rise each day with a reason so powerful, so vivid, so deeply personal that nothing can remove it from your spirit. Not fear, not failure, not exhaustion. Your chief purpose is not merely a goal. It is your future identity taking shape through vision and obsession. Every great individual I studied possessed this quality. They did not casually desire success, they embodied it. Their purpose was not simply something they pursued, it became who they were. Ask yourself, what do I desire so deeply that I am willing to suffer for it? What do I desire so deeply that I am willing to suffer for it? What vision matters enough that I would endure criticism, loneliness, and doubt to achieve it? What kind of life would make every painful moment worth enduring? Once you discover it, carve it into your subconscious mind. Read it aloud every morning and every night. Feel it as if it already exists. Declare it with emotion. Write it permanently into your soul, because unclear desires create unclear results. But clarity commands power. And once your purpose becomes fixed like a North Star within your mind, your positive mental attitude transforms from a shield into a weapon. Listen to me closely now. The person who possesses purpose and protects their mental attitude becomes unstoppable. They may be delayed, but never denied. They may stumble, but they always rise again. They may struggle, but they never retreat. Why? Because they understand that attitude is the hinge upon which destiny turns. Your attitude determines whether failure becomes fuel or destruction, whether pain becomes wisdom or lifelong bitterness, whether hardship becomes your downfall or your rise. But you must defend that attitude like a warrior protects his blade. Guard it against toxic influence. This includes destructive people, poisonous information, and the voice of your own inner critic. Mental weakness. This includes gossip, self-pity, and every thought that drains your spirit. Refuse the mentality of a victim. No matter what happens, take responsibility, shape it, rise through it. Never allow another person or circumstance to define the meaning of your life. That authority belongs to you alone. Now allow me to speak directly to your spirit. As a man who devoted his lungs to you alone. Now allow me to speak directly to your spirit. As a man who devoted his life to studying greatness and awakening forgotten potential, I tell you this: you are not here by accident. You were created with purpose. There is something within you the world desperately needs. Your existence itself is evidence that your destiny is real, but it cannot emerge while your mind is crowded with fear, doubt, and excuses. Your responsibility is to purify your inner world, feed your mind with greatness, study the lives of giants, speak affirmations, take courageous action, and above all, think thoughts that elevate, strengthen, expand, and move you forward. Every time you do this, you grow stronger. Every time fear controls your thinking, you shrink. That is the decision before you every single day. Now let me give you a principle that has never failed me. Act as though failure is impossible. I do not say this casually. I say it because fear has murdered more dreams. Act as though failure is impossible. I do not say this casually. I say it because fear has murdered more dreams than failure ever has. The fear of defeat keeps people trapped in small lives. Often the expectation of failure is more destructive than failure itself. But what happens when you remove failure as an option? What if you say, I cannot fail, I can only learn, I cannot lose, I can only adapt, I cannot be destroyed, I can only return stronger? That, my friend, is true power. That is the beginning of an unbreakable mind, because hesitation disappears. You begin to move, create, speak, and lead boldly. And when that happens, fear retreats, doubt weakens, and the world responds. Because confidence attracts, certainty is rare, and those who possess it naturally become leaders in spirit long before they receive any title. Hear this clearly. No great person succeeds entirely alone, but no great person waited for others to believe in them first. You must believe while others laugh. No great person waited for others to believe in them first. You must believe while others laugh. You must stand while others hide. You must speak while others criticize. You must lead even while you are still becoming the person you envision, because the world follows those who dare to become mentally unstoppable. So let me remind you what now exists within your reach if you choose to live these principles. A mind that sees opportunity hidden inside every obstacle. A voice that speaks strength into the soul every day. A purpose so powerful that fear cannot survive beside it. A discipline so consistent that weakness loses all control, and a mindset so strong, so unwavering, that nothing on earth can stop your progress. This is not fantasy. This is law. These principles worked for Carnegie, they worked for Edison, they worked for Ford, and they will work for you if you apply them. So the question is not whether these principles work. The real question is this: will you rise each day and claim ownership over your attitude? Will you continue speaking strength even when circumstances appear weak? Will you persist when every part of you wants to quit? Because if you do, you will build more than success. You will build a life of meaning, a life of greatness, a life that leaves impact long after your name is gone. That is the power of an unbreakable, positive mental attitude after your name is gone. That is the power of an unbreakable, positive mental attitude and it belongs to you the moment you decide to claim it. So I ask you now, as a guide, as a mentor, and as a man devoted to standing success, will you decide? Because destiny begins the moment a decision is made. And from this day forward, let every thought, every word, and every action announce to the world, I am unwavering, I am unstoppable, I am unbreakable, and so it shall be. And now that you understand this truth, there is one final principle you must carry with you for the rest of your life. Guard your energy with absolute discipline. Most people lose their power long before failure ever touches them because they allow their spirit to be drained by things that do not deserve their attention. They waste their focus on arguments that lead nowhere, comparisons that poison confidence, distractions that consume time, and fears that have not even happened. Understand this clearly. Your energy is your life force. Wherever your attention goes, your power follows. If you pour your mind into negativity, you weaken yourself. If you feed your attention to chaos, confusion, and endless noise, your purpose begins to disappear beneath the weight of distraction. But when you learn to direct your energy with intention, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your mind sharpens. Your vision clears. Your confidence deepens. The most powerful individuals in history understood this secret. They protected their focus like sacred ground. They did not give every opinion their attention. They did not chase every distraction. They understood that greatness demands concentration. A scattered mind creates a scattered life, but a focused mind becomes unstoppable. So ask yourself honestly, what is stealing your energy today? Is it fear of judgment? Is it addiction to comfort? Is it endless distraction disguised as entertainment? Is it the habit of doubting yourself before you even begin? Whatever it is, confront it, name it, and remove its control over your life. Because anything that weakens your spirit repeatedly is too expensive to keep. You must become intentional with what you consume mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Protect your morning, consume mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Protect your mornings from negativity. Protect your dreams from cynical people. Protect your mind from constant noise. Silence is powerful because in silence you hear truth. In silence you remember who you are. In silence your purpose becomes stronger than your fear. And never forget this. The strongest people are not those who never experience darkness. They are the ones who refuse to stay there. They feel pain, but they continue. They face fear, but they move forward anyway. They encounter rejection, betrayal, hardship, and uncertainty, yet they refuse to surrender the authority over their own mind. That is real strength. There will be moments when life tests you beyond what feels bearable, moments when exhaustion whispers for you to quit, moments when loneliness convinces you that no one understands your struggle. In those moments, remember this. Every great soul has walked through fire before reaching greatness. Every champion was once exhausted. Every visionary was once doubted. Every visionary was once doubted. Every leader was once afraid, but they continued, and that is what separated them from the masses. Not perfection, not genius, persistence. The refusal to break mentally when circumstances became difficult, the decision to rise one more time than they fell. So when the pressure comes, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Ask instead, what is this preparing me for? Because pressure reveals strength, resistance creates endurance, and struggle, when faced with the right attitude, becomes the training ground for greatness. You are stronger than you have been taught to believe. There is more within you than fear would ever allow you to see. But that strength only awakens when you demand more from yourself than excuses. When you stop negotiating with weakness. When you stop waiting for perfect conditions and decide that now is the moment you rise. So stand up mentally. Stand up spiritually. Refuse to bow before fear, doubt. Stand up mentally. Stand up spiritually. Refuse to bow before fear, doubt, or failure. Let your attitude become so strong that setbacks cannot intimidate you. Let your purpose become so clear that distractions lose their power over you. Let your discipline become so deep that excuses no longer recognize your name. Because one day, the life you are fighting for will demand that you become the person you keep postponing. And when that moment arrives, you must be ready. Ready in mind, ready in spirit, ready in action. So from this moment forward, walk with certainty, speak with conviction, act with courage, Train your mind daily, protect your vision relentlessly, and remind yourself every single morning that no circumstance has the authority to define you unless you surrender that authority yourself. You were not born merely to survive existence. You were born to create, to lead, to overcome, to rise. And if you hold firmly to that truth, if you protect your mind with discipline and feed your spirit with purpose, then there is no obstacle powerful enough to stop the person you are becoming. The battle will not always be easy, but victory belongs to the one who refuses to quit internally. And the moment your mind becomes unbreakable, your future changes forever. And once your future begins to change, you will notice something that most people never understand. Success is not a single event. It is not one victory, one breakthrough, or one lucky moment. Success is the result of a mind that refuses to surrender day after day, year after year, even when no applause is heard and no reward is yet visible. Most people quit in silence long before they fail in public. They abandon their dreams internally. They lower their standards. They convince themselves that average is acceptable because striving demands too much discipline. But the person with an unbreakable mental attitude refuses to settle. Even in exhaustion, they continue building. Even in uncertainty, they continue believing. That is the difference between those who wish and those who become. You must understand that every thought you repeat is constructing your future. Every decision either strengthens your character or weakens it. Every action is casting a vote, strengthens your character or weakens it. Every action is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. There is no neutrality in life. You are either growing stronger or becoming weaker. You are either moving toward purpose or drifting toward regret. So become intentional. Speak carefully, think carefully, choose carefully, because your destiny is shaped in the small moments no one else sees. It is shaped in the mornings when you rise despite exhaustion, in the evenings when you continue studying while others waste their potential, in the moments when pain gives you an excuse to quit, yet you continue anyway. That is where greatness is born. Never envy the strong without respecting the process that created them. Strength is expensive. Wisdom is expensive. Discipline is expensive. Every powerful individual paid for their growth through sacrifice, loneliness, failure, criticism, and relentless persistence. The crown is always heavier than it appears from a distance, and relentless persistence. The crown is always heavier than it appears from a distance. But understand this clearly. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret can last a lifetime. One builds you. The other destroys you slowly from within. So ask yourself honestly, what future are you creating through your daily habits? Are your actions aligned with your purpose, or are they feeding distraction and weakness? Are you becoming someone capable of carrying greatness, or someone preparing excuses for why greatness never arrived? These are difficult questions, but difficult questions create powerful people. Weak minds avoid truth. Difficult questions create powerful people. Weak minds avoid truth. Strong minds confront it directly. And there is another truth you must never forget. Gratitude is power. A grateful mind cannot remain trapped in bitterness for long. When you learn to appreciate the lessons hidden inside struggle, you begin transforming suffering into wisdom. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is possible. Even now, despite everything you have endured, there are still opportunities in front of you. There is still breath in your lungs. There is still time to rebuild. There is still strength waiting to be awakened. Never underestimate what can happen when a determined mind aligns itself with purpose and refuses to quit. History has always belonged to those who endured longer than the fear surrounding them. The people who changed the world were not always talented. Often, they were simply the most relentless. They continued after rejection. They continued after humiliation. They continued after failure, convinced everyone else to stop believing. And eventually, the world had no choice but to recognize their strength. You must become that relentless. Do not allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions for your life. Feelings change. Fear changes. Circumstances change, but purpose must remain steady. A powerful mind does not collapse every time emotions shift. It learns to act beyond emotion. That is maturity. That is mastery. Anyone can move forward when they feel motivated. But the truly dangerous individual is the one who continues even without motivation. Continues even without motivation. The one who understands that discipline must lead when emotions become unreliable. There will be days when you doubt yourself. Days when progress feels invisible. Days when your efforts seem unanswered. On those days, remember this. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees evidence of life. Growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. Do not quit during the invisible season. The strongest transformations happen quietly. While others sleep, while others complain, while others surrender, you continue becoming. And one day the results appear so suddenly that people call it luck, never realizing the years of discipline, sacrifice, and mental warfare that created it. So continue forward, continue sharpening your mind, continue protecting your attitude, continue feeding your purpose. Refuse to become casual about your potential. There is too much greatness inside you to live a life controlled by fear. And when the world attempts to convince you to think smaller, stand taller. When people tell you to lower your vision, expand it further. When failure visits your life, force it to become your teacher instead of your master. Failure visits your life, force it to become your teacher instead of your master. Because the moment you stop fearing failure, you become free. Free to create, free to lead, free to attempt what others are too afraid to pursue. Freedom begins in the mind long before it appears in reality. So train your mind until it becomes stronger than your circumstances. Train your spirit until adversity no longer intimidates you. Train your discipline until excuses lose their voice completely. And if you do this long enough, with enough faith, enough persistence, and enough courage, you will eventually become the very thing you once admired from a distance. A person who cannot be broken by hardship. A person who cannot be controlled by fear. A person who refuses to surrender their purpose. That is true power. And that power is already waiting within you.